today, what's called the carbon market is really a carbon charity. And when people use the term invest, what they really are talking about is a grant, because there's no return on investment. There's no cash stream that comes from any carbon-linked instrument or from a carbon credit. It's a pure, virtuous instrument that's tied to the offsetting of emissions, which is fine, but it doesn't solve the overarching problem, which is that we're trying to get cash to flow between parties to create an ecosystem of investment where people can participate in the market and they can earn a return on their investment. And that return is payable in cash or payable in kind. It could be payable in carbon over time, whatever their choice or whatever option they want to pick or works best for their business. And you need a market in order to be able to do that. And by a market, we mean all of the infrastructure that's required in order to support speculative trading and price arbitrage and price discovery at scale. It can't just be a guy with an iPhone app that says, I want to save a forest in Bali. I think that's a good idea. There's nothing wrong intrinsically with that transaction. I pay $20 a month, you bill my credit card, some trees get planted in Bali, everybody feels good, and some carbon is being sequestered. But that solution doesn't scale. So for institutions and pension funds and insurers and banks and sovereign wealth funds to get involved in the carbon markets at scale, they need to be able to generate a return on their investment. And that requires the infrastructure of the global capital markets in order to do so. So at Laconic, we provide that infrastructure, which is primarily a data and informatics infrastructure. We have to be able to price an instrument. We have to be able to label an instrument with a unique identifier so you can say, this is mine and that is yours. We provide information based on the legal and jurisdictional underpinnings of those carbon instruments so that if there's a default event or a breach of contract, there's recourse. You can actually go to a court of law. You can enforce your rights against somebody. All of these things are important and in fact necessary in order to achieve institutional scale. We'll go circle back to my example about the iPhone app and you pay $20 a month. Really, you pay $20 a month for the feel good, right? If the carbon really isn't being sequestered, it's not the end of the world if you pay your $20 a month for 6 months and you think you're getting 6 credits, but you really only 2 were being generated. If you increase the scale and the scope of that transaction, you say, well, wait a sec, I'm not buying 6 tons of carbon, I'm buying 6 million tons of carbon or 60 million tons of carbon, right? At $20 a pop, 60 million tons. It's $1.2 billion on a single transaction. You have to be damn sure that you know what you're buying, that it's real, that you have legal recourse, that it's going to be delivered on time and according to the contract specifications. And if it's not, you need to be able to have recourse. You need to be able to put that asset, that digital asset, carbon being a characteristic of the land, what you're really buying is a claim on that carbon that is referenced digitally. You have to be able to put that digital claim into custody with a regulated custodian so that you know where your asset is at all times. So you don't just put this on a USB stick or get a grainy PDF printout or scan that says you own this. This is a serious financial instrument. And so you have to be able to tap into all of those aspects of a functioning marketplace, all of which exist, but all of which require data, require information structured in a particular format, served at a particular time and in a particular way with a high degree of confidence in order to function. And so that's what Laconic does. We don't provide custody of the asset. We don't settle the transaction. We don't verify that the carbon is in the ground. There are other specialty providers that provide all of those services, but the output of all of those services is data. And the inputs into some of those services is also data. A custodian can't have custody of your digital asset unless you transmit that asset to them, formatted in a particular way. And so all throughout this ecosystem of a functioning global carbon market, information is required. Data flows are required, and that's what Laconic's Cedar platform provides. We are the digital backbone of the global carbon markets.